Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the known universe and the unknown universe, we welcome you as well. It's now an era of Super Smash Bros. Switch, and with that, I welcome you to Comment Force number 52. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here, and I wonder if when Taylor Swift is 52 in 2042, if she'll have like this really sad, like, 52. Like 22 is supposed to be like all like, oh, like your life is getting good, and then it's like,
whoa,
52. Like, man,
your life is getting good at 22.
I mean, like traditionally, like you're kind of out of like the teenage BS. You've entered adulthood. Maybe you have a little bit more stability. You're about to graduate college. You're gonna get a job. Probably have some like cute boyfriend.
I wonder how many 22-year-olds are actually like going through like everything in the way you're supposed to. I think so many other 22-year-olds are kind of just drifting. But
yeah, I mean that's true. That's true. I mean 22, it kind of drifts on. It's a little bit drifty. Well. But this is 52, and so yes, we are going to get right into it. It's been a very busy week of Nintendo Direct insanity, Smash Brothers unveilings, and a whole lot of pointless fire flame detail searching through that silly lineup shot. So we tried to avoid that. We've talked about that ad nauseum, and we'll continue to talk about Smash Brothers as more is revealed and as we get closer to launch. But today I want to focus on some other topics, like this one. Bay Foundation 1 says, when I first saw Scribble Showdown, I thought nothing of it. Then it turns out to look better than the recent Mario parties.
You played this. Like, how close is it to Mario Party? Is it really like that cool?
It's very cool. It feels smaller scale than Mario Party. It's less complex, but it definitely is more impressive than I expected. If this game was 20, I would say it's a must-buy for Switch owners. 40 is obviously better than 60. I need to spend more time with it to see if I feel like I get my money's worth and see how the replayability is. I'm worried with 27 games that it's going to get repetitive, but it's definitely something like pull it out at parties. Like it has a little bit of that Jackbox feel just because you have some input, right? You're deciding, you're typing out like, ooh, what creature you want to ride, what you want to catch as it falls. Like there is sort of that like player, creativity that comes in, which I really like. So yeah. I'm glad that Bay Foundation sees what the goodness of that game, and I hope more people check it out. It kind of came right before a sandstorm of Nintendo insanity, so it might get lost in the shuffle. But I mean, it's definitely one to keep your eye out for when there's an inevitable price drop. So
yeah, you gave it a glowing review. I mean, from what you played, I don't think you played like a ton, but what you did play, you seem to have a really good time with Jake. There's a video on the channel you guys can go check out, and I personally look forward to playing it next time I have people over that want to play Switch. All right,
very good.
With that, we will move on to Javi, who says, "Take this."
That's a cute dog.
What's that? Like, is that paint on it or something?
Okay, well maybe it's not cute. Is it like blood?
It's not blood. It's orange.
Cheeto?
Maybe. Take this with a massive grain of salt. 35 out of 40 is the exact same score they gave Sonic Forces. This is in reference to the Kirby review. Famitsu was the first publication to review it. Famitsu's scores, like, if I'm being honest, don't like mean a whole lot. They hand out 10s, like, not willy-nilly, but they do it a lot. Breath of the Wild got a 10, but, that deserves it. Yeah, they did give Sonic Forces a 35 out of 40. That is what they gave Kirby. I don't think that means that they're the same quality whatsoever. But...
No, I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a fun little fact. By the way, we're a little short on time. It's a busy week and an even busier weekend. But I did want to make sure I said thank you so much for all your comments and questions and thoughts and theories this week. We always appreciate it. Keep those coming. You guys are the best. And with that, I'll move on to a new best person. This guy is he's not any ordinary guy. He's guy person.
Guy person.
The best person, the best guy. He says, I believe Sandshrew is based off a pangolin, aka the only mammal to have scales, but it could also just be an armadillo. And I looked up this pangolin creature. It's very fascinating, Gabe. I was very interested in this. We saw last week that someone's favorite Pokemon is Sandshrew. Gabe revealed that he has a soft spot from a champ. And now we learn that Sandshrew might actually be based off this very... And Gabe, I feel like if you look up pangolin right now...
Well, all right, here. I'm going to look it up on my phone. Spell?
Pangolin. I feel like you would want one of these creatures. I feel like it's a very Texas animal. It's like a Texan.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now.
Don't sound too excited.
It looks creepy. I don't like the scales. Like the scales,
moving on.
It's a little creepy.
We tried, guy. We tried.
All
right.
So Jeff Blevins says, I really appreciate you guys covering indies because I don't hear about them from other sources. It really helps me find cool and fun games to play. We kind of pride ourselves, well, I pride myself in that a little bit. I know Zach probably does as well. We try to cover as many indie games as we can that are cool because there's just way too many that it's impossible to do everything. But the ones that we enjoy, we definitely try to showcase in some way or another.
I met Miyamoto 2 E3s ago, and he whispered in my ear, do my work. And so part of that work is to spread the indie games. In fact, I met Miyamoto before Switch Force. He actually gave me the idea for Switch Force. He's like, the Switch is going to be so good.
That's not
Zach,
true.
you gotta make a channel about it.
I was there, and I can tell you that that's not true.
You were not in the room.
I wasn't in that room, but I was like,
so
right
who knows what he said to me behind closed doors?
Oh, sure.
We should make a video talking about that because he had some wisdom that he dropped. Anyhow,
okay.
Wide Mouthia is going to drop some wisdom on us.
Okay.
He says, I would love to see a reimagining of the F-Zero series. Imagine playing as Captain Falcon in an open-world style game as a bounty hunter. You could accept bounty hunting missions, use your reward money to buy and upgrade racers. Then you could enter races in order to win rewards and advance the story. It could be awesome. They could even incorporate Captain Falcon's moves from Smash into his fighting style when he is bounty hunting. And we had a similar comment that said, like, give us a GTA-style open-world driving mission-based futuristic city game in the F-Zero universe.
F-Zero, that's not what F-Zero is, right? At this,
no, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, but I mean, you've said in other instances that you don't like the open world defying of games in general. So, I mean,
but Nintendo has done it really well. I can't deny that. You know, there was discussion in the "What is Retro working on" video. We found out via a resume that it seems to be open world or at least a game of some large scale. You know, there's mention of like, what if Metroid Prime 4 is far more open? What if this game is far more open? Nintendo seems to. They focus so much on mechanics that I feel like they do those open. Well, I mean, there's very few examples, but what we've seen from Breath of the Wild and a little bit in Mario Odyssey, I feel like they do them incredibly well. And before we move on to the next comment from Angry Echidna, by the way, I would love Knuckles in Smash Brothers. Not going to happen, but I would love it. Side note, the shirts are available just for a little bit more. If you want to celebrate the first year of Switch, our first year edition t-shirts and hoodies, variety of styles, representative of the Joy-Con colors that the system came with, are available now. Link in the description below. Only a couple more days. They will be gone for good. They will not stay here like the Switch. They will not be in your future like Smash Brothers, but they can be a part of your life if you pick one up, and they are oh so comfy and oh so cool, so check that out.
Angry Echidna says, it could blur the lines of port/new game, like a new game made with some recycled assets. Very likely.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on this briefly. I know we've spoken a lot on Smash, but I felt like one comment was okay. I feel like when I say port, people think direct copy. And when you say new game, they almost, or I know I'm making assumptions here, but I feel like a lot of people, when they say new game, they think of what I'm thinking of, which is the Smash 4 Foundation with new content layered on top. So by that thinking, it is a new game, but not brand new. And by port, I don't mean a direct copy. I mean I think it is going to blur the lines in a way that maybe we haven't seen very often or ever.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we're probably going to make way more videos about this because it's going to be a hot topic going forward. So,
and once that's unveiled, that will be super interesting to discuss. La Bola Rosata, or the Boya Rosada.
La Bola Rosada, the pink ball, which is Kirby, which is the image. Go. Yeah.
Said, hey, it was one of the best directs. It was really cool to see all of these games, Little Nightmares, Undertale, South Park, all of them. And Smash was the cherry on top of this huge cake. I like to call it an epic Nintendo Direct. And the sentiment on Twitter and in the comments was that people loved this show.
Mm-hmm. Smash, like, if Smash wasn't there, I said that weird. If Smash wasn't there, I think people would have hated it. Just, ports. So
I didn't get that sentiment, though. I feel like a lot of people skipped out so heavily on the Wii U generation that they view this as a ton of fresh titles. And we talked about that in our review. Like, if you've played these games versus if you haven't, it dramatically, speaking of saying things weird, dramatically alters your perception of the Direct.
I know, like, I didn't expect this, but people are really hyped for the Captain Toad remake. Like, yeah, like, people are really into that.
Correction, it is 40. Amazon posted an updated listing.
Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, it was pretty epic though, wasn't it? South Park might not be for us, but that's a good get for Nintendo. Little Nightmares, a game that you like a whole lot, a game that I've been excited to play. I just haven't had a chance to, so now I can play it on Switch. Yeah, good direct.
I think if you are a hardcore Nintendo fan and that is your sole console and you have kept up with the Nintendos, they're bringing franchises and genres that you never would have thought would be playable on your platform of choice. And I think that is where a lot of the excitement comes in. On top of that, their quality games, it, for a lot of people was very epic.
Yeah.
Even aside from Smash.
You know what else was epic?
Mm-hmm.
Manatee Milk says Tennis Aces actually looks good.
That's my favorite kind of milk.
It looks more than good, by the way.
Can we talk about the milk before we talk about the tennis?
Sure.
I'm lactose intolerant, but Manatee Milk hits the spot.
Wait, I can't. Wait, is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never even heard of Manatee Milk. I don't know.
Tennis Aces does look really good, and I was impressed and also a little bit surprised to see Nintendo doubling down on this game in a way that makes it feel like a major release. It's getting the attention from them. The detailed descriptions, and it seems like content-wise, it is coming together as a very big project, not just like, hey, fill the month. And I feel like they're releasing it right after E3 says as much, given that it's sort of taking the arm slot from last year.
Yeah, it seems like an awesome package. The online stuff has me very excited. We'll be able to have some fun with that. I'm very curious to see how the scope of the single-player stuff is going to be. Yeah, like it looks like a good game with like really deep gameplay and different gameplay styles. I'm all about it.
One thing we didn't point out yesterday that I thought was really cool is that they announced some sort of system where participating in tournaments or succeeding in tournaments will unlock new outfits and new characters. That's kind of a very fresh idea. That's a fun idea. I like that a lot. And I know like, you get better loot based on performance in other games, but to see Nintendo doing something like that and embracing that, I think could be really, really cool and looking to utilize that as a major online title before the online launches. Very nice. Froy Landstois. For Landstois? For Landstis.
Stoa.
Honest?
Stoa.
Oh, okay. You're always so good with those fancy gourmet words. Says, honestly, we should just be happy that they even announced Smash because they already told us about Metroid and Pokemon. I'm glad Nintendo creates awesome hype from their trailers and keeps us guessing. Things will only get better. I know it. They haven't let us down yet. And I feel like that is a good sentiment. If the Directs only serve to unveil Nintendo products, the fact of the matter is the Directs basically serve as your one-stop fun shop for Nintendo Switch. And I think that's why so much weight is placed on the Directs and maybe expectations are so sky high because it's basically the only, outside of indies and some, small announcements like Scribble Showdown, it's where we find out about everything. Like if it was just Nintendo talking about Aces, Hyrule Warriors, Yoshi, and Smash or whatever, cool. But I feel like it's a little bit harder to just throw it away as like, hey, they haven't let us down, things will get better, it's all good. Because of the fact that we're relying on these Directs for literally every full price game.
Yeah, like the funny thing, and people mention this on Twitter, is like Nintendo is in such a like mirror opposite place of what they used to be with the Wii U, where like literally a logo gets people hyped. Because yeah, the Squid Kids was cool, but really like the thing that people lose it with is the Smash logo on fire and the new Smash logo itself. Metroid, same thing. All we get is a logo. People lose their minds. This is kind of cool, right? That Nintendo has that much good faith now with everybody that we get all aboard the hype train with logos.
And I think we did in the past. I mean, it obviously helps that there is the Switch to back it up, a system that everyone can kind of embrace. And I gave that Direct an A-. I was very pleased. I thought, overall it was a great showing. I just think there's so much more like anticipation and holding of your breath with these Directs because you're literally counting on that for the entire release list for the whole system. It's different than when Sony has an E3 press conference, or I guess if they had a Direct and just focused on first party, and then, okay, yeah, like, I don't know. I think you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Also, Xbox is now going to have a Direct-style show as well that they recently announced.
I will say I hope that Switch features more heavily in other publishers' presentations this year than it did last year.
I wouldn't count on it, but let's hope.
I hope. Okay.
Jonathan Renderos say, oh man, very ethnic today. Anyone getting worried about Yoshi? It almost seemed like 100% certain it was going to get mentioned in this direct, but nothing. Perhaps it's getting more development than we thought it would have. Perhaps a larger scope game than ever before for a Yoshi game. Or are there production problems and it's been put on the back burner? Also, still nothing about Hollow Knight. I don't think Yoshi's been put on the back burner.
Well, do you think it was always part of the plan to announce it at E3 2017 and then not really have anything else until E3 2018?
Let me rephrase. Yoshi's obviously been put on the back burner. I don't think Yoshi has development problems. That's what I wanted to say. I think that some other stuff was just ready beforehand. Maybe Yoshi was always meant to come out like way later. We have no way of knowing. I don't think even if we got to interview Reggie himself, he's not going to be honest about it.
Could it just have been like, hey, they were at a state where they had a showable trailer and other games did not? And so like, hey, we need another thing in this E3 show. And hey, that one was ready. Yeah,
that would make sense. I'm still excited for it. It's coming this year. I don't think Yoshi's getting delayed to next year or anything like that. Is it larger scope than we think maybe?
Yeah, that's what I want to touch on. I do hope that's the case. I hope that this is more of a... I mean, it's still a side-scrolling Yoshi game, so I don't know really how much more you can do, but I would hope that there are some cool things that have not yet been revealed that get us excited. When it was initially unveiled, it was paired with Kirby, and they seemed very similar. At the end of the day, I still feel that's the case, but I would totally welcome that maybe the reason it's saved for E3 again, and obviously the second half of the year, is because there is more to that game than maybe we're aware.
Hopefully we get Hollow Knight this month as well.
Yeah, that's got to be this month, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, JDXVX wraps things up by saying, I'm sorry, but Luigi's Mansion not coming to Switch is absolute BS and a cold slap to the groin. Otherwise, it was good. And the fact of these cool games getting announced for 3DS but not Switch, it's something that I think you feel pretty strongly about.
Yeah, as soon as they start off with 3DS stuff, I don't mind it. But I do mind that something like Mario Plus, not Mario Plus Rabbids, excuse me, Bowser's Inside Story, a game that I love, a game that I finished. It's one of the few 3DS games that I played, or 2DS, whatever it was on, DS. I love that game, and the fact that it got remade but not for Switch and 3DS instead, that's a huge bummer. Same with Luigi's Mansion. You said that maybe that means that Virtual Console isn't coming, and if it does, it's not going to have GameCube. I'm not going to read that much into it. I think that they're just trying to sell Luigi's Mansion to a new audience that they found with the sequel, since that was on 3DS. But I wish both of those titles were on Switch. I think it's a huge, huge mistake.
And the question, I guess, becomes, does it hurt sales that much if you double these things up? They doubled up with Fire Emblem Warriors, releasing on both 3DS and Switch. They're doubling up with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, releasing on both 3DS and Switch. Why not do the same for WarioWare? Why not do the same for Mario and Luigi? Now, and Luigi's Mansion, I guess. You could argue that these games, Luigi's Mansion doesn't really fit this, but you could argue that WarioWare and Mario and Luigi are touchscreen heavy games that are going to utilize more of the DS feature set that the Switch doesn't focus as extensively on. Or you could argue that they need to keep some things exclusive to 3DS in order to keep that system alive and well.
What's the reason to keep it alive and well? That's what I'm not understanding.
I mean, they clearly still want a 2-horse race here, and they clearly still want a lower option. Here's what I feel. I feel that for the people that want the 3DS and the people that have the 3DS, I don't think releasing it on the Switch and the 3DS hurts the 3DS in any way. I think it hurts the Switch to not have it, but I don't think it hurts the 3DS to have it on Switch. I don't think people are like, well, crap, I'm going to throw away my 3DS and buy a Switch. I mean, and if the worst case scenario is that they go buy a Switch, like, where is the harm in that? Because to me, these games are catering to people that already own a 3DS. Sure, there are some instances where you're going to sell a new 2DS because it's cheap or whatever, but the reason they're buying that is because it's cheap, not because of the lineup, I don't think. And so I don't understand why you wouldn't have this. It seems like an awkward choice, and it's one that I think could fill out the Switch release calendar. But it probably has a lot to do also with specific development teams and who have been pegged to make Switch games or who have been given the time to do such a thing. I imagine it's a little bit more time-consuming. I feel like you need a longer timetable. I don't know. It also could be that maybe the games that were developed on Wii U have an easy time going to 3DS in the same way that Mario Maker went to 3DS and Smash went to 3DS, and now Captain Toad going to 3DS, and Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors. Maybe there's something about that, whereas games that originated are harder to bring forward. I don't know. I feel like it.
Resident Evil Revelations was the first 3DS game. That's on Switch. I mean, just an example.
I would love to know, and we never will, but I'd love to know if it's a business decision or a development decision.
Yeah, we'll never know.
We'll never know. What we will know is that this was a shorter show, but it has been a bigger week. And so there was a lot of content that has been covered and will continue to be covered that we didn't want to kind of cross the streams. But thank you so much for all your comments. As always, we will be back with a full-length show next week. It was a little bit of a surprise that we got a Direct and then we got Smash Brothers. I know you're all super excited for that, but let us know how you feel and what you think about this 3DS Switch conundrum and about Yoshi and also about Sandshrew. And go check out Scribble Showdown and some of the other cool indies. I'll plug Flint Hook, which came out on Friday and is fully worth it on Switch. That's a great game, and if you're waiting for Hollow Knight, it's not the same genre at all, but it's, I feel, of that similar caliber. So check those out. Gabe, let's wrap with advice.
Acceptance. People are different, Zach. You know, not everybody likes the same things. And I feel like we shouldn't be too harsh just because we don't like the same things that other people like.
Sure.
Let people live as long as it's within reason, right? Don't let someone that's out doing drugs or drinking and driving, stop that stuff. But if something isn't really like hurting anyone in any meaningful way, let people be. Just let's not worry about other people. Also, let's stop analyzing pictures of Smash Brothers that clearly don't have any information on them.
I mean, I guess it depends if you read it as an upgraded port or a new game.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just they're not finding out anything. Yeah, it's just a joke.
Crazy. It's just crazy to see that there's been like
the internet has lost it from
different things about that. I don't know. I thought it was pretty obvious. Like, okay, it's the cast from or a portion of the cast from the last game, but apparently not. My advice revolves around passion and motivation. Look how excited people got about Super Smash Bros. On Switch. Look at the positivity, the passion there. Carry some of that into your own life. Obviously, it's great to be excited and pumped for Smash, and we will be along with you. But find a way to move some of that energy into something you're doing in your life, whether it is school, whether it is work, whether it is being the best father, son, daughter, mother, sister, teacher, student, whatever it is. Carry that kind of energy and that enthusiasm into other areas of your life and watch the results. The result of this Smash Bros. Excitement is going to be a super awesome game later this fall. Imagine having super awesome results in other areas of your life and be someone that wakes up fired up and ready to give that sort of passion and that level of excitement to everything in your days. And we will wrap up this day by saying thanks so much for watching. Again, the shirts are available for a little bit more if you want to check those out. Discord link in the description. Twitter link in the description. Keep those comments coming, and let's keep this Switch train rolling. Year 2 starts off real well, Gabe. Freaking Smash Brothers starting year 2.
What's that starting? It's somewhere in the...
Well, the announcement starts year 2. That's the first big thing announced in year 2 is Smash.
Yeah.
And that strangely seductive Octoling DLC that we didn't touch on today, but I do want to talk about in the future. I love you all. Gabe loves you all. For both of us. Till next time, that's been Comment Force 52. Switch Force